Welcome to Carl's Garden, Episode 1. This is our first episode, and we're so excited to be here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm Josh.
And I'm Carl.
I'm here to ask questions.
And I'm here to answer the questions.
So in this episode, we're going to show you how to prune a rose bush. Now, I buy roses all the time to stay out of the doghouse with my wife, but when I buy them, they're always cut roses. What's the difference in a price between a cut rose that I get at our local grocery store and a rose bush like this?
Most of the time when you buy a cut rose from a florist or grocery store, it's a hybrid tea rose. And oftentimes they grow them for the cut roses, and then they grow them for a couple of years, and then they pull them out of the greenhouse and actually sell the plant. So sometimes you're buying a plant that's already been grown a couple of years just to produce the flowers. So sometimes you can get a good one, sometimes you can get a bad one. On this one, how to select a good rose, I like to get one that's uniform. We're early in the season, so the plants are kind of limited for right now. A few weeks later, it'll be a little better. We're at the end of January, it's just now picking up, so I like a rose that's fuller. But we'll see what we can do with this one over the course of a couple of months.
So what would a rose like that cost?
This one roughly anywhere from 8 to maybe 10. Get further in the season, they get a little bigger, fuller, a more compact plant. You're maybe going to pay $15, $18, maybe $20 for them. But always purchase a good rose and start off fresh. So.
Well, because I usually buy like a dozen roses at the grocery store, which they're cut, so they're evidently going to die. But I would much rather spend a little bit more money, if I had to, on a rose bush like this that we could plant.
Yeah, sure.
And so let's get into what we're going to do to this today. Carl's got a list here of stuff that we're going to do just in case we forget something. But if we do forget something, please leave us a comment to let us know what we forgot, and we'll go back over that in a future episode. So where do we start with this thing?
The number one asked question to most experts is how to keep a hybrid tea producing the long stems for the roses so you can cut them and bring them inside. That's the number one question. And oftentimes people are misled. They'll just go down and cut the bloom close to the top leaflet that comes out. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not. The way you keep them producing, you follow that stem down to a leaflet that has at least 5 leaves on it, 5 or more.
Wow.
If you cut it right above that, like a 1/4 inch above it, then it will actually sprout out, bud out, and produce another stem. If you cut it, let me see if I can find one. Here's actually one that's got just 3 leaflets on it. So if I cut it here, the odds of that sprouting back out to produce that long stem is pretty slim. So once this matures out a little further, opens up, you want to cut it, and you want to follow it back down to this stem where it's got, actually you've got 7 leaves started on that one. This one's still only 3. So you'd cut it right above that leaflet, and that'll cause it to branch out more. So that's
Okay.
a number one asked question.
So if I went to the store today and bought a rose bush like this, how long would it take for these roses to open up?
If the sun stays out and it stays into the 70s for a few days like it's going to this weekend, you'll probably have one open in a few days. It doesn't take long.
Okay.
And in this area, they actually produce pretty much through December on up into this time of year. So, it kind of depends on the freeze that we have. We can have a kind of hard freeze, but it's usually one night out of the year, so it doesn't really amount to much.
All right. So what's next on our list of things to do to this thing?
we'll cover fertilization for just a second. The next question is usually what type of fertilizer to produce that bloom on that long stem. Always remember the NPK. On a rose, you want the middle number to be the highest number. This is a 9, 11, 3. It could be, 10, 15, 4, whatever analysis, but you always want to make that middle number higher. That produces your bloom. And the first number produces your leaves. I had one guy that contacted me. I actually went and looked at his roses. They were hybrid teas. They were 10 foot tall, no blooms. He was using a fertilizer that had a high nitrogen content, and he was making all foliage. So I told him, I said, cut back on your water, change your fertilization to that middle number, make it higher, you'll start producing blooms. So keep that in mind. Always use a rose food. The rose food you can use for other items also, so it crosses over. Always keep your rose deadheaded. If you're not going to cut the blooms off to bring them in for long stems, if it starts kind of leaves the petals falling off of them, go ahead and remove that stem. That keeps it producing. If it tries to make seed, then the plant thinks its life's over with, and it puts all that energy into the seed pod, and then you'll have less blooms. So always remember that. When you purchase one, if it's got, this one's not in too bad a shape. There's a couple of places. This stem could be cut a little bit, but oftentimes you'll get them where the limbs have been broke or disconnected. Just go ahead and trim those off when you plant them.
So that was already cut, and you just cut it 1/2 inch shorter.
Yeah, I just cut the dead part of it off.
So what did that change? Because it was already cut. What did it change you cutting it?
Not much, but I've just done that as a demonstration. If it was up, broke, or sticking up a lot taller, just cut that out because you don't want any dead stuff being in there. Remove the leaves. These leaves are just from where it's been harvested and then put in the container. They're losing a little bit of energy, so you'll have that. So we'll discard those. Always keep your leaves from underneath your plant. Don't let them build up because that causes black spot and stuff to bounce back upon the leaf to get disease started. So look for insects, aphids. We'll plant this plant in another segment. Your roses need 5 to 6 hours of sunlight per day. They prefer 8 hours or more if you can give it. So this particular one, we're going to put it in about a 6 hour a day sunlight situation and see how it does. We'll plant it, we'll put cow manure around it. They love cow manure, and we'll see how this thing produces over the next 2-3 months. So.
All right, so how often do you water it?
They need 1 inch of water per week. So if you're on a drip system or a sprinkler system, just kind of keep that in mind and adjust your water accordingly. So they need a lot of water, but they don't like to be really soaked because then that causes disease into the roots and stuff like that. And I'll show you actually, if I can find a good bud here. I hate to sacrifice a bloom, but there's proper ways. Maybe I can just do it without actually cutting it. I wish I had a bigger stem. Okay, actually the way they have cut this is really not the best in the world. We'll do it this way. Where this stem comes out, they have cut it straight across, and they've done that in the growing. They probably went through and just cut them straight across. What you actually want to do, it's actually cut about the right spot, but it needed to be on a slope so that water doesn't build up on that stem. That way it makes a good cut. Like that one I cut, it was a little high. Let's see if we can get it here. Where that one was way up here, it actually should have been cut down to about a 1/4 inch above this stem and cut it on a slope. So if you cut it too tall, that's bad, and you don't want to cut it down into the main stem either of this branch that's coming out. So,
All right.
and we'll probably do a little pruning on it, a little more once we set it. And two, most of your roses are going to be budded or grafted, and if it sprouts out below this union collar that we call it, if it sprouts out, it'll revert back to another rose. It could be a wild one. I have let some grow, and they turned out to be a beautiful bloom, but it's totally different than what you've got on the rest of the bush. So you may want to trim those out too. So just keep that in mind.
All right. Is there anything else we need to cover on kind of trimming it up?
Not really at this time. When we plant it, what we'll do, I'll go into the time of the year that you need to prune it, like early spring to dwarf them back and then let them get a good start. We'll do that at that time, and we may even do another segment after it grows and bushes out. We'll come in and do a little bit of work to it then too. So,
all right.
I mean, this one isn't the best selection in the world because like I say, I like for them to be fuller with a little more body to them, but we can make this an excellent rose.
Yeah, and we can do an update in a couple months on how good it looks too.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you joining us for our first episode. Like and share our video if this helped you out in any way, or if you think somebody else will get a little bit of information from it. Did you have anything else that you need to cover before we go?
Just check back with us often. We'll, there's so much to cover on roses for diseases, even some of the insects. They're fairly easy if you provide the cultural care that they need. And stay after them. It's just like the stems. If you leave those on there and let them start making seed, then you're hurting the plant. So it takes, on my roses, I'd go out daily, cut a few off, look at them. If I had a leaf somewhere that maybe got bent or broken, I go ahead and remove that or just strip it off. Sometimes they'll come off if they're past their prime, because the older leaves will do that, kind of like this one in here. It's kind of past its prime. So it doesn't take but just a few minutes. You can have 20 roses, and you can go out daily and just spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and you're in excellent shape. It'll save you tons and tons of money on chemicals and work. So check back with us, and we thank you.
So if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to cover, leave that in the comments section below, and we'll see you next episode. No, I don't want to do it like that. No, I know how I want to do it. This is episode number, I said I didn't want to do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You
Welcome
may
to
be in my way, dog.
Sage is not what it is. That just doesn't look like fucking sage to me. I didn't think it looked like sage. We really don't know what's in this friggin' pot. I don't know where they got sage at. Now that's sage.
I'm here to ask stupid questions.
And I'm here to answer the stupid questions, dumbass.
Check out the winners,